Bismillahi awwaluhu wa akhiruh. We now have a question and answer session, but also you are free to offer your comments. Sometimes I don't understand your British accent. So you're going to have to raise your voice, and sometimes my hearing is declining, and that's not always a bad thing, eh? My hearing is declining now. So you might have to raise your voice for me to hear carefully. Otherwise, you can write your question and send it up. Anybody? The first one? Yeah.
Cryptocurrency and permissibility for us to purchase or sell. A little bit on that, please.
Okay. Can we hold that question for a little while?
Yeah.
Let's stay with the topic.
Yes.
Oh, it's a beautiful topic, eh? Baseerah. Baseerah, yeah. Ma zag al basar. Oh, mashallah. Ma zag al basar. Nabi Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam in the Miraj. Huh? And he's there at Sidratul Muntaha. The tree, the lotus tree. And Allah says, Ma zag al basar. He's talking about basar. And his basar, his gaze did not waver. Basar. Beautiful subject, yes. Anybody else? Yeah.
You spoke about Iqbal,
Allama Iqbal.
So the Pakistan ideology, he gave the ideology to
I am not Pakistani. I have not studied the subject of, I only study the Quran. Go ahead.
because
I don't know a Pakistani ideology. You have to ask somebody else to explain to you, respond to Pakistan ideology. Yeah, go ahead. I'm not in that field. Yeah.
just an example that you said he has mountains or mistakes.
He has made monumental mistakes. Yes, yes, but
He gave you a few examples.
yes, but that does not mean that I speak disrespectfully of him at all. I consider him my teacher. Yes, and I consider him to be someone, despite his mistakes, on the part of Khidr alayhi salam. Yeah, I don't know anyone who has responded to modern Western civilization from an Islamic perspective as brilliantly as he has. Among the mistakes that Iqbal has made, and may Allah forgive him. First of all, he does not have an eschatology. You can search all of Iqbal, you will not find an eschatology. And that, very sadly, is a very, very big vacuum in his thought. Because without an eschatology, you cannot understand what's happening in the world today. But that's not the whole story. Allah speaks in the Quran about Gog and Magog, Ya'juj and Ma'juj. So if you want to study the subject of Ya'juj and Ma'juj, or Gog and Magog, would you begin with the hadith? Huh? That's a very foolish methodology, isn't it? You disrespect the book of Allah? Huh? If you want to study the subject of Gog and Magog, you go first to the Quran. That's proper methodology. And that is what Iqbal did. And very, very, very few scholars have done it, what he did. Yes. And when you go to the Quran, you'll find about Gog and Magog that they are agents of fasad, they commit fasad. Which reminds me that on the 1st of December, I am extending an invitation to you. There is a place in Croydon called Coombs Farm. And I've just decided it here during this lecture. Now, I'm going to have an all-day seminar at Coombs Farm. Subah se sham tak. In this seminar, we will teach Suratul Kahf of the Quran. So what I couldn't do today because of time constraint, I'll have the whole day to teach you Suratul Kahf, and I will enjoy the lecture more than you. Oh yes, Suratul Kahf, beautiful. So that is the 1st of December. I think it's a Saturday. And then 2 weeks later, that is Saturday the 15th of December, I'm going to have something more exciting. For the first time ever, I'm going to attempt, I don't know if anybody did it before me, I'm going to attempt for the first time in my life to conduct a seminar from morning to evening explaining Dajjal, the false Messiah. This is not an easy subject. A schoolboy cannot handle this subject. You have to spend a long, long time with this subject. Dajjal is not an easy subject. But that will not be in London, that will be in Birmingham. But Birmingham is only 2 hours away. Okay? Yeah, so 1st of December, remember I've sent you the invitation. And you go to my website, imranhosein.org, and you see there, or you can go to YouTube, I put it on there. 1st of December at Coombs Farm in Croydon, explaining Suratul Kahf of the Quran, and all day seminar. And then on the 15th of December in Birmingham, explaining Dajjal, the false Messiah. Gog and Magog are agents of fasad. That's what the Quran says. Inna Ya'juj wa Ma'juj mufsiduna fil ard. As a consequence, they have to be human beings. I don't have the time now to do all the homework for you. They have to be human beings. Yes? But number two, not only are they wicked, not only they commit fasad, they are destructive forces, but they are so powerful that even Zulkarnain cannot destroy them. He can only put a barrier to protect them. So when these people are released into the world, like they're going to take over the world. It's going to be the world order of Gog and Magog. We've not as yet gone to Hadith, remember that? We've only used the Quran so far. And then in the Quran, Allah speaks about a town, a city, Qarya. And He does not identify it. Why? Because He's sending the Quran لِقَوْمِ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ, people who think. And He destroyed the town or the city. Then He expelled the people. And then He placed a ban on them that they could never return to reclaim this city as their own. No. Until Gog and Magog are released, and with their indestructible power, they spread out in all directions, they take control of the world. The world order of Gog and Magog. وحرام بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان وحرام على قرية أهلكناها أنهم لا يرجعون حتى إذا فتحت, mark the words, فتحت, إذا فتحت يأجوج ومأجوج وهم من كل حدب ينسلون. When you use proper methodology, the town is Jerusalem. Allah is speaking about the Jews, that He destroyed Jerusalem, He expelled the Jews, and then He placed a ban on them. They could never return. For 2,000 years they could never return. And then suddenly they come back and they reclaim Jerusalem as their own. We must ask, what is the explanation? If you are content to eat your biryani and go home and sleep, you're a schoolboy. What is the explanation? You're not a scholar as yet. Huh? What is it that explains this? Iqbal, in a absolutely magnificent display of internal, intuitive, spiritual insight, basar, like no other scholar in the world of Islam, with the possible exception of one who was called Badi'u Zaman, Said Nursi, from Turkey. Iqbal responded to the Bolshevik Revolution in 1917. And the First World War was just coming to an end. And the British Army had just liberated Jerusalem. And General Allenby had declared, today the Crusades are over. And that tickled Iqbal's intellect. And then he declared, with this absolutely astonishing couplet in Urdu, incomparable, incomparable, indicating that he had penetrated the very heart of the subject. खुल गए याजूज और माजूज के लश्कर तमाम. My pronunciation not too bad. खुल गए याजूज और माजूज के लश्कर तमाम. लश्कर तमाम. Notice the ayah ends, وحرام على قرية أهلكناها أنهم لا يرجعون حتى إذا فتحت يأجوج ومأجوج وهم من كل حدب ينسلون. That they will not, the people will not come back to this town to reclaim it as their own until Gog and Magog are released and they spread out in all directions. Yansilun. Mark the word Yansilun. Have you done it? खुल गए याजूज और माजूज के लश्कर तमाम. चश्म मुस्लिम देख ले तफसीर हर्फ यंसिलून. The gaze of Islamic scholarship must now be directed to that passage in the Quran, in Surah Al-Anbiya, which ends with the word Yansirun. No scholar, none. No scholar in the contemporary world of Islam did what Iqbal did. He captured the very heart of the subject, as no one else did. But now I have to say to him when I meet him, inshallah, Dr. Iqbal, can you explain to me how come after this dazzling display of basar, an accurate explanation of the contemporary reality in the world from the Quran, you never uttered another word on this subject after this? Bas ye aur kuch nahi. I'm going to have to ask him. I'm sorry I'm going to have to ask him. Is it because if you had proceeded, you'll never become doctor? If you had proceeded, you'd never become Sir Muhammad Iqbal? These are not nice words to utter. No. But this seems to be the reality. That after this, he never uttered a single word on the subject, he never wrote on it, he never spoke on it, nothing, he's totally silent. That is indefensible, absolutely indefensible. It's a mountain of a question mark. The only scholar, the only one, nobody else, not at Azhar University, most certainly not, only Iqbal. Absolutely correct. I can go on to other things that he did, but this is enough. One, I have a small booklet at the back entitled Iqbal and Pakistan's Moment of Truth. So I suggest you read that. Yeah, next question. Yeah. Right, sir.
From Quran, we know that angels can take the form of a man. Can you teach us?
Can you hear him?
I'll speak over that. From Quran, we know that angels, they can take the form of a man.
An angel can take the form of a human being, yes.
But when the angels visited Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam, could Khidr, Hazrat Khidr alayhi salam, could he also be an angel who took form of a man? He came, taught us, then went away, because we don't hear anything else before this event and after this event. So if this is the case, then can Hazrat Khidr alayhi salam come today as a man, teach us and go away to give us Baseerah?
I'm happy you ask that question, yeah. Because there are those who say Khidr was a Nabi. It is the quality of the truly learned, راسخون في العلم, that they recognize the limits of knowledge. And when Allah has put a line there, don't cross the line. So on the subject of Khidr alayhi salam, we must restrain our enthusiasm, restrain our mind, and be content with the knowledge which has been given in the Quran. And the Quran does not tell us anything more than what I have said to you. But when we have the all-day seminar on what date in Croydon? 1st of December, yeah. Then on that occasion we'll be able to expand on the subject of Khidr. At this time, I advise you, stay only with the Quran, and to the extent that the hadith is in harmony with the Quran, you can also incorporate the hadith. But when the hadith is in conflict with the Quran, stay with the Quran. Yes, next question. Yeah. We'll come back to your question, yeah, at the end.
Yeah, lecture regarding the Dajjal, when he arrives, before he arrives, so he will have approach to only the cities of civilized community. So he will not be able to go easily into the village. So you can go to the village, you can make your own village. So in your lecture you have given us like this. I heard your lecture. So how is it possible today to make a new village and go there and survive there and wait for the job? Is it possible? How is it possible?
Okay, can you tell me what he said? Oh no, you didn't hear as well. You didn't hear. क्या बात है?
After Zaman, when the Dajjal arrives, he'll go through the towns and cities. What he's saying is that we can go to the villages. Can you advise him?
Okay, all right. When Tamim ad-Dari met with Dajjal on the island, and after he had confessed, he said, I am Dajjal, Ana Dajjal, Ana Dajjal. No, sorry, mistake. He said, Ana al-Masih, Ana al-Masih, I am the Messiah. He then said to Tamim ad-Dari, when I'm released, I'll enter every town and every city, including London. Did you hear that? I will enter every town and every city. But I'll not be allowed to enter Mecca and Medina. Oh, but Dajjal is in Mecca now. Oh yes. He's most certainly in Mecca. You can see evidence of Dajjal all over. His footprints are scattered all over Mecca. The implication is that when Dajjal is released, a shadow will come over the world. This is the greatest fitna that mankind will experience from the time of Adam alayhi salam to the last day. This is a monumentally important event in human history, the likes of which nothing else can compare. When Dajjal is released, a shadow will come upon the world. And that shadow will remain until Dajjal emerges in human form. Then the shadow will disappear and you see the real man. This is what Allah is saying in Surah Al-Mursalat of the Quran. But remember, when we interpret the Quran, we must always say, Allahu Alam. Allah knows best. Because only Allah can confirm whether we are right or wrong. Intaliku, proceed. Let the historical process now proceed. Intaliku ila zillin. Zill is a shadow. Proceed to a shadow which will now come upon the wall. Zi salasi shu'ab. And this shadow will emerge in three parts, three stages. And when the three stages have ended, then the shadow disappears and the real person comes. My interpretation, and you'll find it in my book entitled Surah Al-Kahf in the Modern Age, there's a chapter in that book which I should not have had to write. My teacher should have written that chapter, yes. The chapter is entitled The Quran and Time. The Quran and Time. And I confess I am not qualified to write on that chapter. No, I am a schoolboy. Me, I'm just a schoolboy compared to my teacher, Maulana Dr. Muhammad Fadlur Rahman Ansari. If he had written that chapter, subhanallah, the Quran and Time. But he's no longer here. So we have to do whatever we can. So in that book, Surah Al-Kahf in the Modern Age, you'll find this chapter entitled The Quran and Time, in which you'll see Imran struggling to make an effort to explain the subject. But when Dajjal is released, he lives on earth for 40 days. Yawmun kasana. A day which will be like a year. Yawmun kashahr. A day which will be like a month. Yawmun kajum'ah. A day which will be like a week. Wasairu ayyamihi ka ayyamikum. And all his days, meaning all the rest of his days, like your days. So 3 stages of the life of Dajjal before his day is like our day. When his day is like our day, he will be in our world, meaning our world of space and time. Zaman or Makan, space and time. But prior to that, he is not in our world of space and time, but he's here on earth. You can't see him. Are there angels in this room? Of course. Can you see them? No. Are there jinn in this room? Of course. Can you see them? No. Dajjal is here in this world. Can you see him? No. So during this period of time, when the shadow is here on the earth, Dajjal is free to travel, to penetrate, to do all he wants to do, but he's not in our world of space and time, so we can't see him. So he's entering every town and city, including Mecca, including Medina. He's everywhere now. He's most certainly here in London. But when he appears in human form. When will that be? It is eschatology which teaches the subject. Umranu Bayt al-Maqdis, Kharabu Yatrib. Kharabu Yatrib, Khurujul Malhama. Khurujul Malhama, Fathul Constantiniya. Fathul Constantiniya, Khurujul Dajjal. That when Jerusalem is center stage, using the analogy of construction. Analogy. Don't understand it literally. When Jerusalem is center stage and Medina plays absolutely no role in world affairs, then will come the Malhama, or the Great War. But after the Malhama, the next event which will occur would be the conquest of Constantinople. And the reason, of course, for the conquest of Constantinople, number one, so that we can return Hagia Sophia, the Orthodox Christian cathedral, which was transformed into a masjid in an act of unmatched wickedness and sinfulness, shameful thing. I wish I had harsher language to use for what they did. We will return Hagia Sophia to the Orthodox Christian world, and our critics will not be able to stop us. And we will offer an apology to the Orthodox Christian world for what we did to them, and our critics will not be able to stop us. And we will return the name of the city to the name that Nabi Muhammad ﷺ used. لَتَفْتَحَنَّ الْقُنْسْتَنْتِنِيَّةِ. Those are the words he used. He didn't say لَتَفْتَحَنَّ Istanbul. We will return the city to the name that Nabi Muhammad ﷺ used. And they will not be able to stop us. And when we do that, the last piece of the dagger which is plunged into the heart of the Christians to sabotage any possible friendship and alliance between the Ummah of Muhammad ﷺ and the Ummah of Nabi Isa alayhi salam. That last piece of the dagger will be taken out. The blood will stop flowing. And then these people will become what Allah says in the Quran, وَلَتَجِدَنَّ أَقْرَبَهُمْ مَوَدَّةً لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا الَّذِينَ قَالُوا إِنَّا نَصَارَى. And you'll most certainly find in time to come that those who will be closest in love and affection for you, closest in love and affection for you, the Ummah of Muhammad ﷺ, would be a people who proclaim we are Christians. You think it'll be the British people? Or the Americans, or the French, or the Germans? Huh? If you believe that's going to be Western civilization, you should buy a one-way ticket to the moon. No, it's going to be that part of the Christian world, not this one. And so when we return Hagia Sophia to them, that will then cement the friendship and alliance which will emerge in Akhir Zaman. And they will become closest in love and affection for us. And guess what? It has already started. When I visit Moscow, I lectured at the State University of Moscow, which is the most important university in Russia. I got a reception different from Washington. Different from, I would never be invited to a university. Yeah. They received me with respect. And at the end, they treated me with affection. Yes, this is State University of Moscow. I'm saying this because there are young people here who tomorrow will be attempting to walk the same road. Don't be afraid. And when I go to Belgrade, these are the two important cities. Belgrade, because that's the Balkans. In Belgrade, when I lectured in the University of Belgrade, and I spoke about this, they were crying. Yes, they were crying. The second reason why the conquest of Constantinople will occur after the Malhama is because it will liberate the Bosphorus, which is today under the control of NATO. So long as Turkey is a member of NATO, I don't expect Turkey to ever leave NATO. No. And until you leave NATO, you are not part of my ummah. No. So long as you are in NATO, I don't recognize you as a part of my ummah. Why? Because Allah says in the Quran, وَمَن يَتَوَلَّهُم مِّنكُمْ. You heard it? وَمَن يَتَوَلَّهُم مِّنكُمْ فَإِنَّهُ مِنْهُمْ. Whosoever turns to them from amongst you, they don't belong to you anymore, they belong to them. So we will liberate the Bosphorus, and so the Russian Navy can pass through the Bosphorus into the Mediterranean without being stopped by NATO. It is after the conquest of Constantinople, then, says Allah, send the Prophet, you'll have the Khuruj of Dajjal. Dajjal will now appear in human form. It is when he appears in human form that he'll come from the east. Not now. At that time he'll come from the east. Yes, I have studied geography. They say, Sheikh Imran, you've not studied geography? At that time he'll come from the east. Okay? And it is at that time that if he tries to enter Medina, the angels will stop him. He cannot enter Mecca and Medina because the angels will stop him at that time. I'm sorry I had to take so much time to answer you. Next question? Yeah? Or if you have any comments to make, yes?
With Russia in Syria, almost ending the war, is that the alliance between Orthodox Christians and Muslims, do you say, is the start of the time?
Did you hear? Did you hear him?
I will be a bit thinking about
He's saying with Russia in Syria at the moment,
Yeah.
do you think that's the initial stage of the Orthodox Christians that the Muslims will join the alliance? Is that the initial?
If Russia had not intervened militarily in Syria, number one, Syria would have already become another Libya. Libya is today controlled by NATO. And with NATO in Libya, Egypt doesn't stand a chance. They have to attack Egypt to take the eastern delta. Why? Because their book says that the Holy Land extends from the river of Egypt to the river Euphrates. And the river of Egypt, every Jew knows, is the Nile. So that part of Egypt from the Nile to the Red Sea is known as the Eastern Delta. They have to take physical control of this territory. The frontiers of the state of Israel has to expand to encompass this part of Egypt. Otherwise, when Dajjal declares, Ana al-Masih, no Jew will accept him. So there is an attack coming on Egypt. Oh yes. And the reason why they went into Libya is because when the attack on Egypt is to take place, they'll attack Egypt from this side and from that side. And they also have their proxies in the south. If Syria had become another Libya, then NATO would have control of not only Libya but also Syria. And that would have made Israel's position impregnable. If Russia had not intervened in Syria, not only would Syria have become another Libya, but more than that, they would have put a so-called Islamic regime in Syria, although it will be under control by the NATO. And this Islamic regime would have declared Khilafah and would have been shouting from the mountaintops, "We're going to cut the throats of Israel." This is what Israel wants. Israel wants to be able to say to the world, if we don't wage a war, we're going to cut our throats. It's called casus bellum. So that's why they created ISIS, and they provided all the weapons and all the money and so on and all the logistics, and Turkey was a willing partner in that. So that they could put a so-called Islamic regime in Syria, which will raise the profile of Islam as an aggressor, waiting to cut the throats of Israel, in order to provide a pretext, an excuse, to wage the great war which everybody knows Israel has to wage in order to expand the territorial frontiers of the state. Number 3, if Russia had not intervened in Syria, these fellows would have, it would have been genocide for the Orthodox Christians of Syria. They tried it once with the genocide of the Armenians in the First World War, in order to sabotage any possibility of friendship and alliance between Muslims and Orthodox Christians. They then tried it a second time in Srebrenica. And Britain went to the Security Council to get a resolution that this is genocide, okay, in order to blame the entire Orthodox Christian world in the Balkans. And if that resolution had been adopted, you could say goodbye to any possibility of reconciliation, friendship and alliance in the Balkans. And now they would have tried it for the 3rd time with the massacre and genocide of the Christians in Syria. And that would have put an end to any possibility of friendship and alliance between Orthodox Christians and Muslims, because these people know the Quran. And they know that Allah has said, وَلَتَجِدَنَّ أَقْرَبَهُمْ مَوَدَّةً لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا الَّذِينَ قَالُوا إِنَّ النَّصَارَى. And they're listening to me. So this is why we say, we thank Allah that Russia intervened in Syria. But there's much more I can say on this subject. I don't want to take up your time. There's much more I can say on this subject. Next question. Yeah. Walaikum salam.
Thank you very much. Just looking at the Quran in Surah Shams, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made a 6 of his great creation, which is the sun, the moon, and the daylight and the darkness, and then the heavens and the earth, and then Allah make an oath of the soul of mankind, is that the nafs. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say, Allah inspired this nafs with the
فَأَلْهَمَهَا فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا. Yeah, go ahead.
أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا.
Yeah.
Can you give us your insight in relation to this topic of today? Thank you.
I think we can relate this to Ayat an-Nur. I choose to use only Ayat an-Nur. That in Ayat an-Nur, you know Ayat an-Nur? No? Masjid Quba is a very quiet place, eh? Allahu nuru samawati wal ard. But this takes half an hour. This ayah takes half an hour. Yeah. Allahu nuru samawati wal ard. What this ayah, we don't have the half an hour. What this ayah is saying is that you need not only faith, Iman, because it's only when you have Iman that you'll have Mishkat. Mishkat is a hollow space inside the heart, in which there is Misbah, the lamp. And Iman is Iman Billah, and that means that you must live for Allah. قُلْ إِنَّ صَلَاتِي وَنُسُكِي وَمَحْيَايَ وَمَمَاتِي لِلَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. Say verily, my prayer and my service of sacrifice and my very living and my very dying, all for you. Sab kuch, sab kuch, sab kuch. Everything is for you. But you say this with your mouth, but in your heart there's something else. In your heart you say, no, I can't say this, because if I say this, my business will collapse. If I speak like this, they put my name on a no-fly list. They say I'm a terrorist. So I have to put my tail between my leg and run for cover. Okay? When you have that faith in your heart that Allah is the Supreme and you live for Allah, you live for Him. Har hal, whatever be the consequences, I stand for you. Then when faith reaches into the heart, then the hollow space will be there, and then the lamp will be put. This is analogical, a lamp, and then there is a glass. And the question pertains to the glass. Tazkiyah. Tazkiyah. One of the functions of the Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam, liyuzakkikum, to purify you. And it was this characteristic of this great master, that all those who were around him, he was able so gently and so effortlessly to purify them, his companions, purify them. The Sufi Sheikh of yesterday, today we have different Sufi Sheikhs now. I don't want to mention what they're doing. But yesterday we used to have the authentic Sufi Sheikh. And that authentic Sufi Sheikh was like a magnet. He vibrated vibrations like a magnet. And when once you were in his company, you close to him, you could feel the vibrations. Yeah. And he would change the lives of people. Yes, with just one meeting, he would change the lives of people. This was the authentic Sufi Sheikh of yesterday. So, if you have that lamp inside of you, and you engage in tazkiyah for purifying the glass, so the glass will become clean. And then you shine and you polish the glass. Shine and polish the glass, which is zikr. And be very careful about how you relate to other people. Don't ever get this deadly virus to infect you. What is that deadly virus? The virus of superiority. That I am the chosen of the Lord God. I am Punjabi. I am Sindhi. I am Bengali. I am this, I am that. And I am superior to you. This claim to a birthright of superiority. And then you look down on other people, that they are inferior to you. I'm sorry to say this is the heart of British civilization. This is the essence of being British today. The British, I believe, were not like this before Western civilization came. Western civilization came and transformed Britain into this arrogant country. And if you have this arrogance inside you, your glass is not clean. No. Your glass is not clean. Once upon a time, Britain used to produce great sheikhs. The greatest one of all, you know, Father William Shakespeare? Yeah. If you read Merchant of Venice, I don't know anyone who has explained riba with such brilliance as William Shakespeare has done in Merchant of Venice. Yeah. So if you have this arrogance inside you, your glass is not clean. Liyuzakkikum, to purify you. But then the Quran goes beyond tazkiyah to speak about the oil. And that oil is your effort and your struggle, that the truth must be triumphant in the world. Yes, any more questions? Yeah.
Sea of Galilee, Dajjal.
Yeah. Oh, you made a comment, not a question. What's the question? The Sea of Galilee. Okay, we'll postpone that for December the 1st, inshallah. So let's go to cryptocurrencies now. What is your question?
The question is, this is in many of your lectures, you said in trust system, this is the environment of the job has been complete. So one of the lectures you said. So today, in this country especially, many people they very common question that mortgage, buy the house and mortgage. So most of the scholars say it's haram, but some say because it's not Islamic country. So you have problem you can buy, and they argue what if you don't buy a mortgage, so the people has money, they keep buying, and after 25 years you are on the same stage, and people who are buying 1 or 2 or 3 years, they keep buying habitually, and the poor who's renting, is just renting like Muslim. So
okay.
What is the solution today?
On Saturday, the 15th of September, at this venue that Ashraf will tell you about, some hall, I'm going to talk on the subject of the Quran and Pakistan's economic and monetary predicament and the new Imran Khan government. In that lecture, you ask this question, okay? Next question, yeah, cryptocurrency. The shadow is of 3 stages. Intaliku ila zillin zi salasi shu'ab. Which surah? Yeah, but you don't answer any more questions. Huh? I'm testing them. Surah to Mursalat. I notice the 3 stages in my book, Jerusalem in the Quran, which was written 16, 17 years ago, that the island of Tamim Udari was Britain. And I provided evidence to support it. And as a consequence, in the first stage of the shadow, Yawmun Kasana, Britain emerged as a ruling state, and the term which is used for it is Pax Britannica. It's a term of international relations, and I'm a student of international relations. And in Pax Britannica, the sterling pound became the international currency, and London became the financial capital of the world. As a consequence, I recognized that in order to rule the world, you had to rule the world of money. Ask any Jew and he'll tell you it's correct. And then came Pax Americana, which replaced Pax Britannica. And a second monetary system emerged in which the US dollar replaced the sterling pound. And New York and Washington became the financial capital of the world. And then came the mountain of gold coming out from underneath the river Euphrates. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I don't have time to explain to you. And that mountain of gold came out in 1974, when an ocean of oil underneath the river began to function as a mountain of gold. And the petrodollar was born. So Bretton Woods and the IMF gave way to the petrodollar monetary system, which we have now. But I noticed that the United States of America is now in irreversible decline. That the challenge which has come from China and Russia, supported by India and Brazil and South Africa, BRICS, that this challenge cannot be met. No, they cannot succeed. The best that they can do is to try to provoke a world war to cover up the collapse of their monetary system. And that's what they're trying to do now. But they cannot risk war with Russia unless they have a man in the White House they can trust. If Hillary Clinton had been elected president, we probably would have had the war already. But to their surprise and dismay, Trump defeated Clinton. Yes. Maybe because we made dua to Allah, please postpone the war. And the war has been postponed, yes, alhamdulillah. But so long as Trump is there in the White House, they cannot risk war with Russia. And their greatest nightmare now, is that 2 years from now, Trump may be re-elected for another 4 years. So between now and November 2020, they have to either try to get rid of him or impeach him. I don't know what else they can try. And if he's still there by November 2020, and if he wins re-election, then their greatest nightmare will come to pass. So long as he is there, they cannot risk war. So we will not have, in my opinion, I could be wrong, but they need the world war to get rid of modern Western civilization. Once that war takes place, goodbye to Britain, goodbye to France, goodbye to Germany. The modern West will not survive that great war. And if you take your time to read Surah Al-Rahman of the Quran, you see in Surah Al-Rahman that which explains the great war that's coming. But you have to do a little bit of thinking. And I have a little booklet, this is my last book, small, very small, the Quran, the Great War and the West, which we have outside. For example, سَنَفْرُغُ لَكُمْ أَيُّهَا الثَّقَلَانِ نُرْسَلُ عَلَيْكُمْ شُوَازٌ مِّن نَارٍ وَنُحَاسٌ فَلَا تَنْتَصِرَانِ. Surah Al-Rahman. When the Great War takes place, then the world will become smaller. And the great power of the West will no longer be there. And Israel will have a chance now to stake the claim to be the ruling state in the world, in that smaller world. But you need a new monetary system to be consistent. Stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. And we know that what that monetary system will be. It will be one currency for all of mankind. It won't be paper, no. It will be in electronic money. One currency for all of mankind. And who knows? Mufti might even say that is halal. Poor Mufti. Now, in order to facilitate the passage from the present monetary system to that which is coming, one currency for all mankind, you have to disengage the money that we're now using from the control of governments and from the control of central banks. So you come with cryptocurrency which any Tom, Dick or Harry can create. Yes, you'll be able to argue that there is some benefit in cryptocurrencies because Dajjal is not a fool. But despite all the benefits that there are in cryptocurrencies, the bottom line is that cryptocurrencies have come at this time to facilitate the passage to one currency for all mankind. And when that comes, that's slavery for you. That's slavery. Okay, I think we've had enough questions and answers. Okay. Who is in charge? Imam? Okay. Yeah, okay. The management has spoken. The management has spoken. December the 1st at Coombs Farm in Croydon. Go to my website and you get the information, and it'll be explaining Surah Al-Kahf of the Quran. And we'll be able to go back to Khidr and speak on Khidr longer. And then on 15th of December, this is 1st of December, this is 15th of December, 2 weeks later, in Birmingham, on explaining Dajjal, the false Messiah. But one more, and that is, I believe it is the 8th of December, Saturday the 8th, and it'll be on my website in Manchester. We're going to repeat the seminar on riba, the prohibition of riba in the Quran and Sunnah. I did this seminar in Coombs Farm in Croydon on July 29th. So we'll repeat it, inshallah. And finally, on next Saturday, September the 15th, you are invited to come. Ashraf will tell you where is the lecture. We're going to speak on Pakistan. The Quran, Pakistan's economic and monetary predicament, and the new Imran Khan government, inshallah. What's it? Tomorrow at Seven Sisters. Where is it, sir? Tottenham. Tottenham Masjid, Seven Sisters, tomorrow at Maghrib? After Asr. And the topic is methodology for study of the Quran. Another very nice subject, inshallah. Imam? ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا يا مولانا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم اللهم أنت السلام ومنك السلام تبارك ربنا وتعاليت يا ذا الجلال والإكرام اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه. O Allah, kindly show us truth as truth. Grant that we might recognize it as truth and follow it. وَأَرِنَا الْبَاطِلَ بَاطِلًا وَارْزُقْنَا اجْتِنَابَهُ. And O Allah, kindly show us falsehood as falsehood. And grant that we might recognize it as falsehood and reject it. Allahumma arina al-ashya'a kama hi. O Allah, kindly show us things as they are, that we might not be deceived by what they appear to be. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad wa barik wa sallim. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun ala al-mursaleen walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Ameen.